Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to the Diablo 2 One Talent Challenge. But something's different. It's on my Switch. I've had Diablo 2 on the Switch ever since it came out, and people said, why on earth would you buy two copies of the same game? And they got upset with me. I said, well, first off, I like Diablo. I like Diablo 2. I've always liked Diablo 2. Diablo 4 is kind of a joke. Diablo 3 is, they're both a joke. 3 and 4 are just a joke with a bad punchline. And we are going to go online. Private. Where's my other character? This is just going to be back to the Hardcore One Talent Challenge once I can find my other characters. It's supposed to be cross-play, cross-progression. I was just going to say that. Well, maybe not cross-play, but it's supposed to be cross-progression. And yet, I'm not seeing any cross-progression. No, not seeing any cross-progression here. So we are going to log out. We're going to head over to options here. And we're going to save and exit because there's something up with this. Where is my hardcore paladin? So we go to offline. It's dead meat. Where's my online characters? Oh. There it is. I had to change characters. There he is. There he is. Now let's do this. We're continuing with the One Talent Challenge on Hardcore. This time on the Switch. And we're going to try to finish Act 3. I don't know if it's going to work too well. Because again, the control style is a little bit different on the Switch. You can't really do the little like dodge roll that the Diablo 3 had. Diablo 3 had a dodge roll for the Switch, which, I hate to say it, but everybody that played Diablo 3 on the Switch, I called it the Apology Edition. Wait a minute, where's all of my abilities? Oh right, I have to assign it. Cool.
Yes.
Forgot about that. Normally it's just on, but you have to assign it with this one. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to kill Mephisto on the Switch on Diablo. Diablo 2 on the Switch. We're hoping that I can do it. Maybe, maybe not. The one thing I like about this, like I said, you can't dodge roll with it, but it still feels like you're playing a Diablo game. Hello. It still feels like you're playing a Diablo game. Obviously, the audio is going to be a little bit different. Audio is going to sound different because the sound compression of the Switch is different. But people were asking me, like, why did you get it on the Switch? Well, let's say the power goes out. And they're like, okay. And I said, let's say I want to play Diablo 2 offline. Or online. They're like, how could you do that if the power's out? I said, well, it's simple. Power's out, but your cell phone towers work. You set your cell phone for an unlimited data plan, or you have your unlimited data plan, right? You set your cell phone for your Wi-Fi hotspot. You use your cell phone as your Wi-Fi hotspot, and you then proceed to play Diablo on your Switch. That's a hate level 1. Shocking. Oh, Maulers. And that's all you do. And then you can play it no matter where you are. Just have your Switch in your phone, and your phone is your Wi-Fi, and you're on playing Diablo. Now, the other thing is, they say, well, what if you don't have internet, and you don't have an unlimited data plan? You can play offline mode. Now, Diablo 3 was offered for online mode for the Switch, which is why I called it the Apology Edition. Because Diablo 3 didn't have an offline mode for PC. And so when Blizzard brought it out for the Switch, they included an offline mode because they said, well, the Switch might not always be connected to the internet, so you can actually have a single-player experience in Diablo. So I was like, so what it is it's just you're apologizing for not giving us what we wanted on the original Diablo 3, and this is your way of going about apologizing. So, yeah. Then, Blizzard decided to outdo themselves. And they decided that not only would they launch the game on the Switch, but they would add the dive roll on your joystick, which allows your character to dive roll out of danger. This one obviously can't in Diablo 2, but it still feels like this game is easier on the Switch than it is on PC. For some reason or another. I don't know why. But we're going to see if I can kill Mephisto. If I can, we're going to go into Act 4. We're going to start doing stuff there. You certainly can't kill him like that, can you? Now, the whole thing is I need to get a very specific set of runes for my minion here, my mercenary, so that I can make a insight polearm, because he has the prayer aura, and when you get insight, the insight gives you meditation. Meditation, if I can bring up the skill tree real quick. Yes, we know the quest log. Meditation is under defensive auras. So if you look, you have prayer. Okay, prayer gives you +2 heals. That's what my minion has right now, is prayer. You have cleansing, and then you have meditation. Meditation gives you mana recovery rate, but if you notice, it receives bonuses from prayer, which means it receives the +2 healing from prayer, in addition to the prayer having +2 healing. So by putting a meditation polearm, the insight polearm, on my mercenary, I get the benefits without any of the detriments. I basically am walking around with double aura at that point. Okay, those died really quickly. Like, surprisingly fast. Another thing I like about the Switch mode is, on here, is you can tell when your attacks miss. They bring up a little graphical X that shows you that you've missed. So that's kind of cool. Because before, you never really knew you missed. Your character just didn't hit the target, and you're like, why didn't I hit the target? And then you find out why you didn't hit the target, and you're like, oh, okay. There's Mr. Voidbringer, and then over here's Effer Crappenhand. Technically, it's Maffer Dragonhand, but he never drops anything good. We used to do Mephisto Magic Find runs. He never dropped anything good. Ever. Oops. Don't want to turn that off. There we go. Demon, extra strong, extra fast. And he drops a yellow scythe. Not the greatest item in the world, but not the worst. So, I'll give him that. Hold on. Normally he drops, like, yellow, or not even yellows. He normally drops, like, white items. Just dumpster items. That's what he normally drops. That's usually, like, broken stuff. It's like, ah, yes, I really wanted those broken claws. Thanks, Maffer. You're a real pal looking out for everybody. Hey, yo, that's nice. We're gonna go back. We're gonna identify. I was gonna say investigate. Listen to me. My brain's clearly not with me today. There's the identify. I gotta stop doing that. So, I need to find out if that's any good for my mercenary.
I'll put that to good use. use.
Yeah, it is, actually. And it has lifesteal. Hmm. You know what? Mafford Dragon Hand actually gave me something good. So I need to hold Y to sell. Stop doing that. It's gonna be the death of me one of these times. I'm gonna turn off thorns and I'm just gonna get blown up. You watch. It's gonna happen. I love how I barely died on Duriel with the Barbarian. I might give the Barbarian another go. I'll be honest. Because I know that had I just disengaged from Duriel and doubled back, taken a potion and hit him again, I could have had him. But I made a mistake. Like, I misplayed hard, and that's what cost me. So, knowing that, I might try the Barbarian again. See if I can just bash my way to victory. Well, gee, Mephisto, you're pretty much like killing yourself in like 3 hits. Ow. That was painful. Ow. That was painful. Let's not do that, shall we? Go back to hitting me with physical. Stop casting spells. No, hit me physical. There you go. There you go. Battle Axe. Rune. Give me all the stuff.
The Lord of Hatred shall darken the world.
We're in Act 4 now. I mentioned this before, but maybe the newcomers to the channel haven't heard it, or what have you. Back in the day, great, now I sound like one of those old people. Back in the day, when I was a bit of a lad, I remember when Diablo first came out, they had a bit of a problem. But anyway, I digress. A long time ago, that didn't even sound any better, because it was 20 plus years ago now, which makes me sound really, really old. Your mercenaries would get eaten by the corpse spitters out here. And the problem with that, back then, is that if your mercenary got eaten by a corpse spitter, you lost all the gear on your merc. Just vanished. Because he ate your mercenary. The whole thing. Gear and all, just gone. So Blizzard eventually patched that out. But it was people were sitting there and they were in Act 3 and they would basically be hoping that Mephisto killed their merc. They're like, please, Mephisto, kill my mercenary. Please. So that I don't lose him in Act 4. Or they would come out here and they'd go fight some of the early stuff that wasn't corpse spitters, and then he would die. And then they would never resurrect him. They would just go all through Act 4 without a mercenary, or until Diablo, and then they would go resurrect him. Because, well, you didn't want to lose all the stuff on him. Because you had people that were putting, like, ethereal, corpse mourns on their mercenary. And we're talking an item that's hard to get, has thorns on it and all this stuff. It casts Iron Maiden when struck, and it's indestructible. So they were putting all this stuff on their mercenary, high quality gear, and to have it all just completely munched on by one of these corpulent corpse spitters, feels bad, man. I can't even use the skills from Visual. At least not yet. It's the problem with one talent, though. Right? Like, you never really think that that's going to be the issue, but then it dawns on you that that's exactly the issue. Because you're like, man, I'm going to get 2 skills from this. And whereas most players like look forward to getting those skills, I look at it like, oh good, I can get 2 skills I can't use. Is it crazy to play this? Yeah. On a 1 talent challenge, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Especially on self-found hardcore. Oof. And I can't even transfer gear over to other hardcore characters, so it's like, there you go. I used to do this on stream. I might do that, actually, in the near future. Coming up. Like, maybe sometime before the end of February. Headed into March. I'll be streaming on... Yeah, it doesn't really matter what I'll be streaming on. I might stream on Twitch. I might stream on Kick. Doesn't really matter either way. Because I don't have a big enough following there. So it's not like I'm going to make any money on it. But 6 of one, half dozen the other. I hope people come by and stop on in and see what goes on. It'd be great. So today was, just to give you a point of reference of when I'm recording this, today was the Super Bowl. Or the Superb Owl. And not to go off, off base and go all political here, but I know that the Eagles won. I'm just honestly done with the whole premise of the Super Bowl. I'm done with the whole premise of just football as a whole. And it's just gotten to me, right? Like, watching professional sports, it used to be like, okay, yeah, it's got its own little entertainment factor, it's got its own little fun factor, right? And then watching it anymore, it's just like, nah. You can almost feel how fake it is. Almost like it's, like WWE. Feels that way, yeah. And so I don't know. I'm falling out of professional sports. I mean, I wouldn't mind if I was like for example, if somebody said to me, "Oh, hey, you want to go take in a football game, wherever," and I'm in the area. Sure, let's take in a live football game. Even if it's NFL. The reason being, you're there for the camaraderie, you're there for your friends, you're there to, talk to the people and just chill and have a good time, right? That's kind of the whole reason. Be there, be high energy, do your typical cheering for the team thing, even if it's not a team that you know and or care about. But you're just there for the camaraderie and for the fun. And, if you hit up some of the tailgates, you're there for the food. I've been to an NFL game before. I've also been to not an NHL game, but I went to a semi-pro hockey game. And hockey live is wild. If you, there's a lot of people out there that don't like hockey. They just don't care for it, I guess. Don't know why. But I love it when they do that. I don't even have to stop to kill them. They just whack me and they die. So there's a lot of people that don't like hockey, and I'm kind of one of them. Like, hockey on television, no thanks. Hockey live, though. Hockey live's a different story. Because you see stuff when you're live at the rink, at the hockey rink, than you do if you're there, like, watching it from a television. Way different live. It's better live. I'll just say that. A lot, there are some things in life that are better live, and there are some things that are better on a studio. Like, NFL football games, they're better live. 100%. No two ways about that. There's no actual argument there. They are better live. This, the smell of, you have the smell of all the food that they're making. You have, all the people, all the energy, and it's just better live. 100%. Hockey, better live. 100%. Golf. Well, I haven't watched golf live. I've watched it on television. I apologize for yawning there, by the way. I've watched it on television. And I gotta say one thing about golf on TV. Golf on TV is not bad. Because of the way that the game is structured, you literally have somebody either teeing off, chipping, or putting all the time. Somewhere on the holes of the golf course. All the time. In the professional circuits. So you'll sit down and you're always watching somebody either chip, putt, or drive. Very rarely will you find or if they hit the water hazard, they'll show you that one too. But very rarely will you see them doing something else like, oh, he hit it on the fairway and now he's on the fairway hitting it again. Those are rare. But everything else, you see it all the time. Like, it flashes from one camera to the next, and it's like, oh, this person's putting. And then it's like, we now take you to the 12th hole where so-and-so's teeing off. And then we now go to the 3rd hole where the next round of players, who are on hole number 3, are, chipping from the sand trap. And it's always something. Something's always going on with golf. It seems like it wouldn't be. Like, it'd be extremely boring, but it's not. Watching golf on television is actually kind of wild. But I don't really watch a whole bunch of TV. I'm watching even less of it now. People are like, yeah, but you're playing video games, and that's just as bad. Yeah, but what am I doing? I'm playing video games to make content on YouTube. And what do I do during these things? Well, sometimes I'm very philosophical. I'm challenging myself. I'm doing something that takes a little bit of skill and a whole lot of luck. And then it's like, just what am I doing? Just take a look. And it shows you, and everybody gets to see what I'm doing. So it's just, playing games is kind of the same as playing or watching television. You're just replacing one-eyed idiot box with the other. So that's technically true. But the difference is if I'm just sitting there watching television, I'm not producing anything, right? But if I get up here and I start recording and I make a video, then right there, I'm making content. Even if that was the 3-socketed and an 84-socketed. Even if nobody watches the content, or if very few people watch the content. So, with very few people watching the content, people say, "Oh yeah, but you're not actually making anything out of it." Well, not yet. But then again, the joy is not in the actual monetary gain. And I think that's where a lot of people have, lost the sauce, so to speak. Or they're lost in the sauce. And it's just about the creation. That's it. For me, it's about the creation. It's about getting up here and making something and doing something. Putting forth one foot in front of the other, figuratively, one foot in front of the other, to come to a point where I believe I'm putting out something of quality, something that I enjoy. And it's, you know, to me it's interesting, and to me I enjoy it, and I hope other people enjoy it as well. I mean, I try to do something that's enjoyable. But there's also the fact that, you know, my friend Dylan, who has a large TikTok following, we went walking one time back in October, right? And as we're walking in October, we're sitting there having a discussion, right? He's gotten a moderate amount to I'd have to say a fair to moderate amount of success. And he, you know, he's gonna go places. I just know he's gonna go places. And, you know, he always says to me things like, "Oh man, I owe you for, you know, doing this. I owe you for this. I owe you for that." And I'm like, "You don't owe me for anything, man."
So far from righteousness.
Like, honestly, they really don't. Like, if I help somebody out and I help them become the best thing that they are meant to be, I don't ever expect anything in return. So it's like, you know, you don't owe me anything. You don't. You really don't. But he was having this bit of an issue where he's like, now what do I do? He's like, I get the 1 million followers on TikTok, and now I'm stuck. What do I do? You know, because he says, like, what goal do I set now? And that was his big issue, was, you know, he was trying to set another, like, stretch goal, something he could, you know, stretch and keep moving toward and keep fighting for. And he sat there and he's like, you know, like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I said, we're sitting there on a bench. I said, you know, look out in front of you. What do you see? He's like, grass, trees, the school. And he went down through a whole bunch of stuff, and he goes, you know, I see all this. I said, what don't you see? And he was talking about, well, he's like, there's a lot of stuff I don't see that's because it's not here. I said, okay. I said, but let's think about this. You don't see it because it's not there. And he's like, yeah. I said, I don't see it because it's not there. He's like, okay. I said, does it make it any less real? And he's like, no. I said, okay. And now, because we know that it's not any less real, and we know... Sorry, but that portal reminds me of ReZero. I'll get back to that in a second. Alright, I got to thinking about ReZero and I lost my train of thought. It's such a good anime. But he was... I said, the things that aren't there are the stuff that used to be there in time, and now it's gone. So time moved forward. And when time lurched forward, what we lost... Ow. That's a lot of owie. I said, when time lurched forward, what we lost was things that inevitably fell to decay, right? And things that just, they no longer needed. That was life. Life moved forward. And I said, you know, you might not be relevant, you know, all the time, forever and ever, until the end of time. I said, but while you are relevant, make the most of it, you know? But at the same time, what I was telling him is that he should just create for the sake of creating. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, don't set a goal. Don't set a goal. Don't say, oh, well, I have to get to this many of this. I have to get to that many of that. Don't do that. I said, just create. Create for the sake of making. Get out there, make a video, or a TikTok, or whatever they're called. I don't know what the little format of those things. Are they called videos? Is that the format? I don't know. Somebody tell me what because I've never used TikTok. Somebody tell me exactly what the format's called. Anyhow, I said just make them. Make them, edit them, post them. Because he edits his stuff. I don't. I don't edit anything. Because I figure, you know what? We lived in a world back in the day. Here we go again. Old man reminiscing. We lived in a world where there was no editing, really. We lived in a world where you were a person of your word. Your word was your bond. If you said, I can't do this, then you can't. If you said you could, then you did it. You went and you did it. Your word was your bond. It was as ironclad as a document. It was basically law when you said you could do something, right? And I try to live by that standard. I try to live to that ideal. Do I live to that ideal all the time? Does that ideal, come to fruition all the time? No, it doesn't. But I try to adhere to it as close as humanly possible. So when it comes boiling down to stuff, I will say, I don't know. Maybe. Possibly. Tentative. Because I don't want to say something that I'm going to do it and then not do it. Ow. So I try to leave things tentative if I know that there's a chance that it won't come to fruition. And people say, well, that's kind of... Ow, that hurts. People say, well, that's kind of, disingenuous, because then you could just say, oh, I'm tentative on everything, right? You could. But realistically, if you do that, people are they're gonna grow tired of that. Truthfully. They're gonna grow tired of it because they're gonna see the pattern. They're gonna be a noticer of things. And they're going to be like, okay, well, screw it. This guy's a complete wad. We're not going to deal with him anymore. And you'll have that. You'll have that with groups of people. You'll have that with a lot of things.
Good evening.
And so, it is what it is when it comes down to that. There we go. There's the Sanders riprap. Saigons. I haven't seen Saigons in years. I'm probably saying it wrong too. People are like, it's not Saigons, it's Sigons. You get those guys, the really geeky people that are like, actually, show up and they start doing it. But no, it's, while you're getting to your original goal, it's fine to have a goal, set a goal and work toward it, right? He wanted 1 million people on TikTok, 1 million followers, so he got it, and he worked for it. Now he didn't know what to do. Don't set a goal. Just don't. Just do things. And like I was saying earlier, I leave my stuff unedited. Because, we live in an unedited world. We really do. The way I see it is editing should only be used for spell checking. And considering this doesn't have any spell checking on it, then there's no reason for editing. People are like, well, wait a minute. Why do you always run unedited videos? What would I gain by editing? Oh, I can put, audio behind it, little meme sound effects and everything. But why should I? Everyone else does that. Everyone else puts other graphics and videos and other stuff behind it, and they sometimes over-edit things. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to hit the untapped niche of unedited YouTube videos. Now, the one that I posted, which was supposed to be posted as a short, but it never actually launched as a short, which was how far will the RGL-80 shoot, and the other one was a little pistol sniping. Those two shorter videos Those were clips pulled from my live streams, and I originally wanted to run those as shorts, which wouldn't be edited at all, but it's just me taking a clip from my live stream. That's it. So I wouldn't even call those edits because it's just that would be categorically incorrect. However, I do think I'm going to tell you where I'm going to leave off on this one. So like when we get to the River of Flame waypoint and I've killed Hephaestus the Armor. When I do those two things, we'll call it a day on this one. But I don't consider those things edits because I'm pulling a clip from my live stream. It's not really an edit because it was unedited. It happened in that moment. And to me, editing is inserting things that weren't there organically, inserting things from other people's streams or whatever, adding some of their like if you do a recording with somebody, like a collaborative recording, and you get their camera feed from them, and you put it with your video, that's editing. But I think we need to be in an unedited world, to a degree. And people say, "What do you mean to a degree?" I think people should edit their purchases. There are people that over-purchase, so they'll go out there and they'll buy too much of something. Edit your spending, edit your purchases. So, other than that, other than some caveats, it should be mostly an unedited world. People shouldn't be afraid to say something. If they firmly believe it and that's their convictions, they should be able to stand by their convictions and proudly proclaim something to the world without fear of being ostracized or chastised. Plain and simple. That's what it is. They should be able to stand up, put their foot down, and say, I think this. And people say, well, what's the limits on that? There is no limits on it. But there is also, repercussions for your actions. If you're in the middle of Red China and you think, and you stand there and say, I think the Tiananmen Square massacre was, and then you get negative credit, social credit scored all the way to a gulag. Well, you knew the risks. You got sent all the way to the gulag because your negative social credit score. Is it tragic? Yeah. But you believed your convictions, and so you stood up and said something that is firmly in your beliefs. And people would say, yes, but what if they're saying something hateful? Okay. So they say something hateful. Are they saying it to the group of people that they're hating on? No, probably not. If somebody says something hateful, it's like, okay, so they said something hateful. Why don't they go say it to the actual group? See how far it gets them. 9 times out of 10, that group will actually get angry and attack you. But that's the thing. It's like, should they be allowed to say it? Well, yeah, they should be allowed to say it. But should other people be allowed to react to that in a way that is appropriate and proportional? Yes. Like if somebody says something that is, completely hateful hogwash, sure. If you think your proportionate response is to make him lose his teeth, okay. There you go. This, like, I may not condone, because I don't condone people going around, fighting and everything for that reason, but it's like, people need to realize that, yes, you have the free will and the capacity to say whatever you will. You have the free will and the capacity to do whatever you will. But you also have the free will and capacity to realize that there are consequences for what you say and or do. And if those consequences are written as illegal, etc., well, I hate to say it, buddy, but you're going to jail at that point. It's just how it is. But if it's, the consequences are, you could go to jail, or you could have this happen. Okay. Well, then roll the dice. You know? But there should be an unedited world. There should be. Of course, I get a lot of people that disagree with me, saying that, you know, if the world wasn't edited, you'd have a much worse place, and so on and so forth. And it's like, I fail to see how. Because, let's say you have that unedited world, and somebody posts a bad idea or something that you don't condone because it ends up being deemed hateful or whatever. Wouldn't the best sanitation of that idea be bringing it out into direct sunlight and bringing it to the attention of everyone? Just let him say it and then shine a light on it and say, see, this is the reason he should not be in certain social circles, etc. There you go. Best disinfectant is sunlight. So you let them step into it, you set it up, and you just say, hey, you know what? Say what you're going to say. Say what you want to say. I had a couple people in my, I had a couple people show up in my stream. And when they showed up in my stream, they were being rather crass when it comes to their conduct in dealing with certain demographics of people. And they did this for many demographics of people. And I sat there, and I originally had ignored everything they were trying to say to me because they were trying to get me to bite on it and say something. And then all I did is I just banned them. Didn't give them any warning. Didn't give them a reason. I wasn't allowing them to get that power of saying, oh, you know, oh, hey, we got a rise out of him, ha ha ha, and then exert that power over you. Nope, don't give it to him. So I didn't. I left it as is. But then I banned them. No harm, no foul. And then other people were like, well, what was that all about? And I said, well, people came in, and I'm a proponent of free speech. They're allowed to say whatever they want. The opinions they express are not mine. And of course, I had people that are like, yeah, but what they said was heinous and so on and so forth. It's like, that's their opinion. It just makes them look like a scumbag. But we made it out of Act 3. I did it on the Switch this time, which, like I said, I like how it plays. I think it plays a whole lot smoother. The Paladin is now level 30. I'm wrong. I thought he was 30. He's 25. He can't hit anything. He's effectively blind. Yeah. But as soon as we get to Nightmare, I get to pick up Smite. And Smite has no attack rating. So, aha! We'll see what we can do. I hope everybody enjoyed this video, because I enjoyed making it. Even the little philosophical discussion there at the end. Which, by the way, those people were like, okay, so I figured I'd finish the story. They're like, that was their opinion, and they're scumbags. Yes. So why didn't you stop them sooner? I said, well, you can't let people build their own gallows with only 2 boards. You have to let them complete the gallows before you get rid of them. So they build their own. They're the architects of their own demise. But you can't do it the first time it comes out. Like when they first say something, give them the time, give them the rope. You know, feed them the rope. It's a rope-a-dope effect. You know what they say, you know, you just sit there and you just keep feeding it to them, feeding it to them, feeding it to them, then they fall off the cliff or something. The same thing. They sit there and they backpedal all the time, or they keep making all the same they keep making these same statements, whether they be valid or not. They keep making these same statements that can be perceived in one way or another, and you just let them do it because you let them destroy themselves, essentially. You give them the rope in which they destroy themselves, for lack of a better term. And it's a tactic. It's just like, if somebody is going to like, for example, if people try to attack you, whether it be verbally, emotionally, etc., in that regard of like trying to bully you or something like that, they will always try to latch on to the weakest point you have. So the pro tip is you take your strongest point and you make it appear as your weakest point. And then when they latch onto that and they try to leverage that against you, you win every time because it's your strongest point. You feign weakness to hide your strength. And then when they come in, you crush them. It's tactics 101. But no, I let those people dig their own grave and I just kind of kicked them in it and put the dirt on it. Figuratively, of course. Because it was on a live stream and they were typing in the channel. After they left, after I banned them and they left, they never came back. They never made a second account because they could have. They could have easily just made a second email account and come in and done it again. They never did. They never got any, like, they never got a rise out of me or anything, so. But I hope everybody has a fantastic evening, a wonderful tomorrow, and as always, have a good one.